You joined Square in 2014, and Square launched in Australia in 2016, March 2016. What happened in those 2 intervening years? Could you talk us through the process of setting up Square here in Australia? I guess we really want to understand what that process was like when you first jumped on to launching it in 2016.
Sure. I mean, at the very start, there was a bit of back and forth to San Francisco, working out a little bit more about the Australian market, questioning whether the business case was substantiated.
Sure.
But once all that stuff sort of kicked in and we're ready to go, it was literally that moment where back on my dining room table again, opening up my computer going, oh, here we go. But it was about getting all that basic fundamental stuff right. Now, the Square is best known for its simplicity. The products are incredibly easy to use, incredibly fair. The whole onboarding experience is very simple. Everything is as simple as possible to make it easy for anyone to use. But to get that sort of simplicity is incredibly hard.
Right.
So we are a hardware and a software business that is dealing in payments, in financial services, in a heavily regulated and competitive space. So you put all those things together, and there's a heap of work in getting that done. That then is, you have to then, I guess, parallel all the traditional things you need to start a business. Where are we going to be? Where are we going to launch? What's the launch look like? What does the team look like? What does the structure look like? What are the economics, the pricing, the distribution? It's just a massive list of work to do. So I think credit to, I guess, the management at Square. The philosophy was very clear from day one. It was like, we're not looking for a short-term quick win to get out of there. We weren't looking for an exit as a company. So I was very clearly given the mandate, build this business to be around for thousands of years. Like, do what is right to build the base, and then we can go from there. So definitely had a bit of time doing that. But also just launching financial services in the Australian industry is, I joke about this now, but it's highly not recommended. Like it's incredibly difficult to do. Any fintech in the Australian space, I have an immense amount of, I'm very, very impressed with them taking it on because it's hard. It's very, very hard to do. And we were a massively well-capitalized, high-growth, high-profile company, and it was hard for us and hard for me. So a lot of respect for those other ones. But yeah, scaling through that, there's a lot of different lessons through it. But again, hard graft, right people, scaling right.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were here for an event just a couple of months ago at YBF, and you mentioned how difficult it was for a fintech company to get off the ground as well. Could you give some examples of what those hurdles were in the early days and how you managed to overcome those hurdles to launch Square into the market?
Sure. If you take a macro look at the Australian financial services industry, it is well publicised, dominated by 4 very large banks.
Absolutely.
And that, on the plus, provides our industry is a lot of stability. Our financial service industry is very stable. They're actually really innovative. But with such big organisations dominating the industry, what happens for such a long period of time is that the industry is formed around them and for them and by them. So that's an absolutely perfect model where it encourages self-regulation, encourages different regulatory entities to serve them. It encourages them to sit on the boards and the panels of all these things, which is great. And it's what you need to do because you need to own your industry and make sure it's safe and sustainable. But what happens is when someone new tries to enter that market with something that is different, a lot of the processes and procedures kind of fall over. Looking for, okay, have you got this much financial backing to enter the market? Have you got a product that looks exactly like ours? If you're doing something different, we don't have a form for that. Just those basic things. So I think we faced those obstacles. So I don't blame the industry per se because it just wasn't ready for something like Square to launch. But we just had to break through them to make sure it succeeded. So making sure that we kept pushing because our solution is different. We do things differently. We're a tech company that is becoming a financial services and software company as opposed to the other way around. So yeah, a lot of challenges.
A lot of hurdles. And